Alright, welcome everyone to the stream this evening. We're currently going live with something close to home at the moment. This is the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment. A current control burning at the moment with the East Palestine Fire Department here. And you can see on radar, we can see the smoke plumes from those explosive gases causing those smoke clouds to rise into the air. We have very tall smoke clouds right now. Let's go ahead and I want to read some of the information off of this. So some of the information off of this that we have so far, this is from this would be from the hazardous materials section, guide 116. Let me get this up real quick. So this is guide 116 from the emergency response guidebook here. And some of the information about this one of the explosive gases on this train is vinyl chloride. This is an extremely flammable gas. It can easily be ignited, and some of the potential health factors with this are the vapors may cause dizziness or asphyxiation there without warning. So that's from the guide 116 there within the ERG. And basically public safety from this book, it tells first responders to keep, the section here tells people to keep unauthorized personnel away. So basically that's what's led to this evacuation. That's what people look into whenever they're deciding whether they should evacuate people. That's what we look into whenever we get called out to fire calls. And if we ever have an emergency where there's, let's say, a dangerous gas, we have to evacuate people within a certain amount. We leave that all up to HMA, of course, and incident management response. But right now we're focusing on, the reason I wanted to go live with this is we currently have this, you can see the smoke plumes on radar, and this is my radar. This is the radar station that's in my city, Pittsburgh. You can see that we have this smoke plume here. So right now scanner's kind of dead at the moment. We don't really have any information coming out. Nobody is talking at ground level. Nobody's communicating, at least at ground level, on the Beaver County side. I think most of this East Palestine would not be in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, so I kind of have to find a different scanner for that. But at the moment, that's what we're looking at. So as you can see, this over the course of the last hour or so, this thing has definitely evolved. There were some really large explosions earlier from sources that I have heard from. There were multiple, at least one or two loud explosions. And as you can see, this has evolved over the course of time. We didn't have any smoke plumes earlier, and then all of a sudden we have that giant spike. And some of these, I'd estimate, are around like 30,000 feet now. You can see how tall these clouds are. These smoke plumes are insane. They are up, peaking really, really high. You see there's a lot of volume and density with this cloud too. We have some of those yellows coming on to radar. A lot of density there, some yellows, and even closer to orange, we have a lot of density with this explosion. So this is definitely a high concentration of dangerous gases going into the atmosphere at the moment. And again, all of the areas around here are evacuated, but this is a controlled burn, so it's not like it's going unnoticed, but it definitely is a dangerous controlled burn, much like they all are, much like any controlled burn is. But as you can see, this is a very wide area of the smoke here. East Palestine is dangerously close to this right here, because right here, this is where the train derailment is, down here on ground level, under this little cloud right here. And you can see pretty much all of the town of East Palestine has been evacuated. I'm pretty sure that's within a 1 mile radius. And I'm pretty sure they're turning, from what I've heard, they're turning people around 2 miles within, so you can't get 2 miles within this area. but if it were me, I'd have it more than that because this is a dangerous explosion, and you don't want anybody to be around those dangerous gases. Again, you can see the high concentration and how far these gases are making it up into the atmosphere. Again, this is like 20, 30,000 feet up in the atmosphere. We have very potent, just a very high volume and density. And again, you can see it's starting to calm down now. But this is it on radar. This is the high concentration of those dangerous gas plumes, basically. They've been ignited, and this is the smoke cloud that's rising up. Again, if you look on the thumbnail, that's from one of my storm chasing friends, Joseph. He's out there chasing right now. He was out there over there taking pictures of it, but right now, that's pretty much it. Again, dangerous gas. You do not want to breathe this in, and especially you do not want to be near it because it's extremely flammable. This is something that you have to be very careful with. You have to stay far away from, and it doesn't appear to be easily extinguished either. Again, this controlled burn has been going on for a couple days now, but now we're starting to see some more of these explosions happening, and it's getting a little bit more dangerous. It's never not been dangerous, but this is definitely, now that we have more explosions happening, this is definitely something that they don't want to let get out of hand. I'm going to try to update the information here, the description, because I didn't really have time to put the description together, but this is definitely something that if you have family or friends within the area, I'm sure they've already heard about it. I mean, not too many people have not heard about this, but I would let them know. Again, anybody within the area has already been evacuated. There's nobody left within the 1 mile radius of this. They're not allowed to be. Everybody was required to be evacuated by law. And right now, we basically have just a zone of first responders again. So really, it's not really a dangerous situation for people per se. It's more of a threat to property and the life of first responders that are on ground level at the moment. Again, most of those first responders are very, very close to this at the moment, and it's not really something you want to be very close to. So the reason I wanted to go live is because we do have this large smoke plume on radar. Again, you can see now with the latest radar updates, it's starting to go down now. We're starting to see that smoke plume kind of go down now. So it's not as large as it used to be. If you look on radar there, it's starting to go down a little bit. But again, earlier, if you look at some of those higher concentrations, we did have levels of yellow and orange here on there. It was immediately after that first explosion happened, like those first immediate large explosions of this very explosive gas in the canisters of this train, the train cars. You can see how far this went up. Again, this is shooting like 30, 40,000 feet up in the atmosphere now. And it's lowering now as the fire is slowly starting to burn less intense and shoving those explosive gases and all the other types of burnt debris up in the atmosphere. But right now, this is definitely somewhere where you do not want to be close to. Again, we have some newer viewers coming in right now, so I guess I would like to read some of that information off of here from the ERG section 116 here. Let me go ahead and pull that up again. So, Guide 116 of the Emergency Response Guidebook here. This is an extremely flammable gas known as vinyl chloride, and it is extremely flammable. I can't say that enough. So, as you can see, they have a controlled burn, but this gas that's on the train, that was set with the train, is extremely flammable. It can ignite spontaneously, which is something that, in our classes that we took in just basic HMA, hazardous materials awareness, that was something that you want to be very careful with. Dealing with gases like that. I'm starting to get scanner coming in.
Harm has units available. Okay, Harm.
Again, this is Beaver County, their fire and EMS. I'm not really going to get anything from Beaver County, really, because Beaver County is on the Pennsylvania side of this whole derailment. But the East Palestine Fire Department is the one that is dealing with this. Of course, they have other local fire departments and other emergency management groups coming in, but at the moment, this is mainly what we're dealing with. Now, again, with some of those hazards with that vinyl chloride, is dizziness without warning, and asphyxiation, asphyxiation without warning. You don't want to inhale this in high concentrations. Again, we're not going to go into details, of course, but one of my friends lives near there, within about a couple miles of there, and they immediately left afterwards after they heard those explosions. You can smell it in the air. So it's already out there, folks. Again, I would highly suggest making sure if you're within a couple miles of this and you have not already been evacuated. If you're within a couple miles of this explosion and you have not already been evacuated by officials, I would get your stuff ready just in case. Again, not pack anything, not go crazy, but I get your stuff ready just in the case that you were to be further evacuated, especially eastward, downwind of this, because something that first responders, if we get a certain call and we have to evacuate, again, this would all be HMA. This would not be any really volunteer fire department, but they do that sometimes. Again, we do that sometimes. But if you get people downwind, you want to evacuate those people too. So these the firefighters might come and actually evacuate people east of here. Some of the towns around here that we have around this area, east of East Palestine, you can't really see this town over here. It's buried under that radar reading, but anywhere around here, again, you're not allowed within a mile. So anywhere East Palestine is, obviously no one around there is allowed in that town at the moment. Everybody's evacuated out of there. Everybody within a mile radius of this whole explosion. But I do believe here soon they may be evacuating more people. And I'd suggest just being prepared in the case that you were to be evacuated again. Don't go crazy and don't start leaving because you haven't been evacuated yet and you don't want to just leave for no reason. But I would be prepared just in case, because more and more explosions could happen throughout the night. I don't really know the status yet on what's going on with the containment of this fire. I don't really know how much left is going on. I mean, this has been going on for a couple of days now, so we have plenty of stuff. There's plenty of fuel for this fire. Trust me. There's a lot of fuel for this fire that's going on, a lot of chemical components in there, the gases, and that's what this hit. Again, it was mainly just burning the materials that they were trying to get rid of. But again, there's flammable gases that this was carrying.
For Northwestern and South Beaver.
That vinyl chloride that they were carrying on the train cars. That vinyl chloride that they were carrying on the train cars is extremely flammable. And as you can see, once that explosion happened, it went very, very high on radar. Again, that was high concentration of those explosions.
High fever, coughing, difficulty breathing.
So yeah, mostly we're not gonna get anything important related to the fire here on that scanner. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off because that's mainly just other important details for people in Beaver County. But at the moment, you can see that is just a very high concentration. Again, that was shooting up to about 30 to 40,000 feet, and it's really immense how you can see this. Again, I would love to see satellite, but we don't really have any satellite due to how dark it is. Now, we can go ahead and check infrared satellite, which I will do here in a second. We're going to go ahead and check infrared satellite here and see if we can see it on here. Although I don't believe that we can. Yeah, it's too low of a concentration for infrared satellite. There's really nothing visible there, but it definitely can be sensed by radar. And our radar here in Pittsburgh, KPBZ right here in Moon Township, it's definitely sensed this. You can see that we have definitely had a large plume of stuff. So more recently, this is definitely shrinking now. If you look over here, this is definitely shrinking. We no longer have the largest plume that we had earlier. It has definitely gone down. Sorry guys, I got a scanner in my ear and this pager tones are really loud. Alright, so we're going to clear that off because that's Beaver County. We don't need that right now. That's not going to give us anything important related to the fire. I couldn't find anything from Columbiana County in Ohio, which is the East Palestine, that side of where the fire is going on. But we do have So basically, anywhere along Route 51 here in Pennsylvania that's headed into East Palestine, you're going to be closed off. You're not getting in there. They're not going to let you in there. They're not going to let you anywhere near there. It's a really dangerous situation. So they're not going to let you anywhere near there. So I wouldn't even just if you have people traveling out that way, let them know. Take a different route. Head up 76. I'm pretty sure Route 76 should still be good. But anywhere within East Palestine, yeah, nobody's allowed in that town at the moment. Everybody's been evacuated, and this is mainly just it's a high life hazard because of the flammable gases and these large explosions that are going off. Again, as you can see, there's no recent explosions as this plume is now going down. Again, before that explosion, the cloud there that you could see on radar was massive, very massive. And again, this is definitely a very flammable gas, something that you don't really want to mess around with. It's combustible in air. Just with air. Again, in the 116 part of the ERG, it states that it can ignite spontaneously in air. So it's definitely something you don't want to mess around with. Again, I'm not certified in hazmat operations, but I am certified in HMA, hazardous materials awareness, and that's just though we didn't dig too deep into that type of chemical or that type of gas, it definitely you don't when you see very flammable gases like this, you don't really want to mess around with them. And that's the danger of this right now. That's why it's probably not the best idea to light these flammable gases on fire, but again, it's controlled it's a controlled burn by the East Palestine fire department. So it's definitely I don't know. It's something that probably it's a lot of thought would have had to go into this because this is definitely something that you don't want to mess around with. Very flammable gases, reactable with air. Let's see, 75 frames. We're gonna go 75 frames of radar. Again, you can see this plume. I keep loving to watch it over and over again because that's how concentrated it was when it first went off. If you look at whenever this first went off, it'll come up here in a second. And this was about an hour ago when this first happened. And you can see that massive plume, that massive concentration of just deep convection going on. There was deep convection going on with this cloud here. Just intense amount of just a smoke plume coming up from this explosion from East Palestine. I'm not sure what all... I know anything close there, anything close to that explosion is definitely destroyed. That was a massive... I mean, guys, look at this. Look at this absolute monolith of a explosion here. It's really huge. So basically what I'm saying is I don't know what's going on at ground level right now. Other news stations have footage of it, and I haven't really checked them out at the moment. I haven't seen what it looks like on ground level, but I do know that my friend Joseph was down there. He's a storm chaser. He was taking footage of that, and it's definitely, you can see the smoke plume. That's what's on the thumbnail of this live stream, and it's definitely something to behold for sure. It's a very large explosion. Again, a lot of dangerous gas being sent up into the atmosphere. Again, that's no worry at the moment. But the main thing is they don't want people around here, and you don't want to be downwind of this either. Again, eastward moving. Anywhere that's going to be kind of downwind from these flammable gases, you gotta look out for that. That's why I'm saying make sure you are potentially prepared a bit eastward, southeastward of this, because they may start doing evacuations a little bit further eastward, evacuating people due to the type of hazardous materials that are going on here. So, nothing else to really talk about at the moment. That's all the new information I have. It's just that this is very close to home. Can see it on my radar, so that's really crazy. But let's see, there we go. All right. Yeah, but once you're dealing with these type of flammable gases, you really got to look out. You don't want to be dealing with that stuff. You don't want to be messing around with that, especially when these things ignite. Yeah, the vapors. So it says here also in Guide 116, it says vapors may travel to source of ignition and flashback. Cylinders, yeah, the cylinders. So basically, those are the containers carrying this gas in the fire. Basically, the cylinders that are carrying this. In Guide 116, it says cylinders exposed to fire may vent and release flammable gas through pressure relief devices, and the containers may explode when heated. And ruptured cylinders may rocket. So again, we're not really dealing with cylinders of this, but think about the train cars that are carrying this flammable um, vinyl chloride there. It's definitely, this gas is in high concentrations on these train cars, and it is currently on fire. So again, that smoke plume, you can see it. It's going down now. There's definitely been no recent explosions that have fueled this smoke plume again, this large convection that originally went off. But if you saw earlier, like if you keep watching this replay, this radar loop, I'm actually going to shorten it a little bit so we can get a better idea. Let's go down to about 50 frames. And you can see just how massive this was. This was a massive explosion earlier, and I was trying to get this stream up sooner because that was something that I was really concerned about with that high concentration. That had enough power to send this smoke plume, that had enough convective power to send this about 20 to 30, maybe even 40,000 feet up into the atmosphere. Very, very dangerous type of situation. Again, anything around this railroad, anything around these explosions is definitely at least damaged to some degree. It's definitely large. I'm going to try. Again, I haven't really checked recent news footage about what it looks like on ground level. The only scene that I've seen so far was Joseph. The photo, he sent me a photo that I put on the cover of the live stream there, the thumbnail. So at the moment, yeah, this is really this fire's been going for a couple days now. But right now, this is definitely dangerous. This is a dangerous situation. This is something that you do not want to be around. So let's go ahead and see. Yeah, this giant smoke plume. Yeah, up close, when I'm looking at this up close, this looks absolutely out of this world. So that's something that you really don't want to be dealing with. Again, they've evacuated people within a mile. I don't know if any further evacuations are going to occur throughout the night due to those gases kind of lingering. I know nobody's allowed to return to those areas yet. That's been kind of the news for the past couple days because of this controlled burn. And recently, just a couple hours ago, that's when those explosions happened. So definitely a big deal today. Again, recently, if we're kind of running out of stuff here to cover, because if you look now, that smoke plume is really, that area of convection is really small now. It is really not much to look at. So I don't think that we're going to hang around here much longer. But I just wanted to get that out there. I wanted to cover this because this is something that deals with both weather and firefighting, and it's hitting close to home too. You know, this is only about 2 hours away from where I am, so it's pretty close. If it were any closer, we'd probably be dispatched to it too. But I think mainly it's the East Palestine department. Other local departments may be on it as well. They don't just have one department on there. They have more departments on that, but I don't know what other types of departments they have on there, whether it's their HMA units and all that. I don't for hazardous materials and other incident management type resources. I don't really know what they have on them at the moment. Unity there, I know Unity may be also evacuated over there in Ohio, and Enon Valley, that's kind of more, that's further away from a mile, so I don't believe they are evacuated in Enon Valley, Pennsylvania. But this is definitely something to behold. This doesn't happen every day. Again, we're currently just watching the smoke plume go down from this immense convection. Again, if you look back, you can see earlier massive, massive concentrations of that smoke plume. It was very, very large. A very large type of event we had going on here. Now it's starting to go down. We have maybe, I'd say that's about 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere at the moment, but earlier it was about 30 or 40,000 if you look at it. It was very, very large. I like watching the replay because that was something, there was such a high concentration of convection going on with the smoke plume from that vinyl chloride gas. There you go. So if you look at that massive, massive smoke plume that came up with that convection, it's just absolutely huge. It's very large right now. So yeah, you can see that. So we had levels up to around 40, maybe around 45 decibels at max. So we had around 45 decibels at max or so. Very, very large concentrations of this up in the atmosphere, and it reached very tall into the atmosphere as well, very high up. But at the moment, we're only at about 18 to 20. We're only at about 18 to 20 decibels max here. So this is less of a concentration. We're now losing that. That's just that deploting smoke plume now. It's not really going anywhere. It's not rising up again. And no more explosions from what I've heard, but those explosions earlier, they sent a high concentration of smoke and those gases up into the atmosphere. Just absolutely astonishing there. So again, everyone within a mile has been evacuated. As this is a dangerous gas, you don't want to breathe in high concentrations of this, let alone it being flammable at the moment. It's on fire at the moment. But when it's not flamed up and it's still in its gaseous state there, not being used as a fuel for the fire, it is dangerous to breathe in high concentrations. So this is something that you really don't want to be dealing with. And again, as I talked about, downwind of this fire is another area that they're probably going to start looking to evacuate further downwind, because it is just throughout the night, as the atmosphere cools, this kind of starts to spread out even more. And it's going to move further to other areas, and you really don't want to be breathing this gas in. So I don't know how far they have evacuated. From what I've heard, it's about a mile within this explosion, but people closer, again, my friend's friend told me, said to her, this is about 2 hours ago after that explosion happened, and she heard it, that it was just, you could smell the gases outside. So you really want to be careful where you are within this. Even if you're within a couple miles, I'd still consider staying indoors. Don't head outside and don't be breathing any of this in. You don't want to be breathing this kind of stuff in. It's not something you want to be dealing with. Again, that's just my advice. These type of gases, they really teach, in HMA, they really put an emphasis on that. You don't want to be breathing this stuff in. You really don't want to be breathing any of this in. And unless you have personal protective equipment out there, like these firefighters have on, you don't want to be out there near these gases. Especially since they're very, very flammable, extremely flammable. So definitely don't want to be dealing with that. Well, as you can see, this smoke plume is now really, we're only seeing a very small reflectivity scan on it at the moment. It's very, very small now versus what it was. It was an immense tower earlier. Jamie Michael asked, what state is this in? This is currently on the exact border. It's actually half Ohio, half Pennsylvania right now. It's in East Palestine, Ohio. And as you can see, right on the Route 51 area in Pennsylvania, where it meets Route 14 in Ohio. This is south of Interstate 76, the Pennsylvania Turnpike there. And it's definitely, it's calming down now. So I think we're going to head off the stream as of now. I really don't have much to talk about. I just thought that was interesting. I thought I'd come on and give you some little info. If you do live within any of those areas, please stay away from there. Obviously, you're not going to get in there. They have it closed off. They have, within a couple miles of it, you're not getting anywhere near that fire. That's for sure. But I wanted to make sure anybody that lived within those areas that has not been evacuated yet, if you do live in those areas and you have not been evacuated, just keep in mind that they may implement further evacuations later into the night. Again, that's just from what has happened in the past from other examples, but I doubt that's going to happen. I doubt they're going to go and evacuate people, but as the air cools, as everything kind of descends, all of those gases may spread out further, especially downwind of this fire, and they may have further evacuations come throughout the night. That may be another product of this fire. So, hey there, Gary Smith. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. There have been no recent explosions. As you can see, the smoke plume has gone down significantly now. We're only at probably about 3,000 or 4,000 feet up in the atmosphere with these cloud tops, with this plume top there. It's been sinking. No rapid convection now of this at the moment, so it's pretty much gone down. Again, for anybody interested in this vinyl chloride type of HMA information, you can go and look that up in the Emergency Response Guidebook. That's something that they teach you in HMA class, how to read it, how to use it. And you can find it on the internet. You can also buy yourself a copy. I don't really know. The average person would never want to do that, but if you are interested and you're kind of a nerd for this kind of stuff, you can go out and look it up. It's in Guide 116 of the Emergency Response Guidebook. Tells you information. It's basically a guidebook for first responders on how to deal with the situation. And this is you're definitely going to want to look this information up if you're a first responder, because this is something dangerous. Tells people to evacuate people within the area. You don't want unauthorized personnel within the area. So that's why nobody's allowed in the area as of right now. They haven't been for the past couple of days. It's been just straight, consistent first responders, nobody else within that area. And it looks like it does. If you look on other news stations, other footage that I can't receive, I can't license that footage out. If you look at that footage on other news stations, you can see it looks like a war zone down there. So it's definitely something else. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. I'm going to cut the stream here. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day. Please stay safe out there if you're anywhere near this. And